the 15th chapter in second POC, that is biodiversity and conservation. That is the 15th chapter, very important chapter for your NEET examination. And the biodiversity term popularized by Edward Wilson, that is also important. Edward Wilson popularized the term biodiversity. Biodiversity means of all the planets on the earth, of all the planets in the universe, Earth is the right planet placed at a right distance from the right star, endowed with right atmosphere which could support life forms. All these life forms together constitute the biodiversity. So there is a diversity at different levels, at genetic level, species level, ecological level. All these organisms together constitute the biodiversity, which makes the life beautiful and very important for the survival of the entire ecosystem. So altogether there are 20,000 species of ants and about 20,000 species of orchids and 28,000 species of the fishes. Among the vertebrates, fishes occupy the larger portion. That is very important. And 3 lakhs beetles, all these things. And the biodiversity at a different level is genetic level. So genetic level biodiversity. For example, Raulfia ometeria. So the chemical content, that is rasparin chemical content, and also the concentration of rasparin and the potency of rasparin is more, that is in Raulfia ometeria. And different species differ at different organisms, differ at the genetic level, that is called genetic diversity. About 50,000 varieties of rice genetically different, and about 1,000 different types of mangoes differ at the genetic level in India. And coming to the species diversity, that is the diversity at the species level. The amphibians of the Western Ghats differ from the amphibian species of the Eastern Ghats. And at the ecological biodiversity, at the ecological level, so different types of ecosystems: grassland ecosystem, evergreen forest ecosystem, tundra, permafrost, that is frozen area ecosystems, and deciduous forest ecosystem, and different aquatic ecosystems. Alpine meadows have a greater ecosystem than a Scandinavian country like Norway, that is not given so far. That is also very important. Thus they show the different things. According to IUCN, International Union of Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. Once again, IUCN, International Union of Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, 2004. There are about 1.5 million species of organisms, 1.5 million different species of organisms. But according to the Robert May, these are about 7 million species of organisms. Of these different organisms, 70% are the animals and only 22% represented by the plants. Of these 70% of animals, for every 10 animals, 7 are insects. 7 are insects in animals. Whereas in case of the plants, fungi occupy more number of species. That is very, very important. And the insects forms the major community, and then the next to this, molluscans, crustaceans, and the other organisms. So here the chart is given in the book about how much they occupy. That is very, very, very important. Fishes occupy almost all 50% of the animal vertebrate population, not animal, vertebrate population, and the other things, birds, and the birds more than the mammals and the reptiles and the amphibians. And then coming to the plants, I told you earlier about this. And India occupies about 2.4% of the world's land. So that is 2.4%. But the biodiversity, species diversity is 8.1. It shows the species diversity, which is very, very important. And India is one of the 12 mega countries which has the biodiversity. In India there are about 45,000 species of plants and about 90,000, double than the plants. Many animal species are present. And about the 22% they are named. 22% of these organisms are named, and 1 lakh plants and 3 lakhs animals have been named. And coming to the latitudinal area, 23.5 north, 23.5, Colombia occupies about 1,400 birds, whereas the New York at 41°9 altitude, only 105 species of the birds, whereas the Greenland at 71 degree north altitude, only 56 species of birds. There are about 1,200 species of birds in India, whereas the tropical Amazon rainforest, it shows the great biodiversity on the earth, consists of 40,000 of plants and 3,000 different species of the fishes, 1,300 species of birds, and 427 species of amphibians, and 427 species of mammals, and 1,25,000 of vertebrates, and only 378 plants. So this is about the tropical Amazon forest. And coming to the species area relationship, which is very, very important. That was proposed by Van Humboldt. Very important. Log S equals log C plus Z log A. Log S equals log C plus Z log A. Log S means logarithmic of number of species. So according to Van Humboldt, as the area increases, number of species also increases. That is, the log S equals log C, that is intercept by intercept, and then plus Z means slopes, and the log A, that is area. As the area increases, number of species also increases. This is about log S equals log C plus Z log A according to Van Humboldt. And the about frugivorous, that is fruit eating, called frugivorous animals. They in different continents, they are present in the slope, where the slope will be 1.15. This is also very important, so far not asked. And then David Tillman suggests that as the number of species increase, the productivity also increases. That is according to David Tillman. And rivet pop hypothesis proposed by Paul Ehrlich. Here the rivet means species, popper means loss. This is rivet popper hypothesis proposed by the Ehrlich. according to this, so he compared these species to the parts of the plane. If loss of the species, that is the parts are affected, this results in imbalance. That is about the Rivett-Paper hypothesis. And according to the IUCN, International Union of Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, 2004, about 2000 species of birds at the verge of their extinction extincted, and 338 vertebrates and 359 invertebrates and 87 plants since 500 years. Several organisms they are extincted. So that is very, very important. That is quagga of Africa, stellar cow of Russia, thylacine of Australia, dodo of Mauritius, quagga of South Africa, stellar cow of Russia, and thylacine animal of Australia. They are at the verge of their extinction. That is very, very important. And tigers, such as different types of tiger species like Bali Javan Cassipian, they are at the verge of their extinctions. Since the last 20 years, 27 species of tigers are at the verge of extinction. And amphibians are the more organisms which are affected and at the extincted. That is about 15,000 to 15,500 species are at the extincted already, and 32% of that accounts to 32% of amphibians, and 23% of the mammals, and 12% of the birds, and 31% of angiosperms already extincted. So this is also this kind of things also very, very important. So which are the four factors that threaten the biodiversity? Number one is habitat loss and fragmentation. Number two, overexploitation. Number three, alien species. And number four is co-extinction, habitat loss. So the cultivation of different things, deforestation, dwindled the forest. That is very important. Amazon, it occupies about 14% of the forests will be reduced to only the forest cover is 14%. If the forest percentage is 14% and 6% occupied by Amazon forests of America, they are popularly known as lungs of the earth. But because of cultivation and cultivation of soybean dwindled reduced the forest area. That is very, very important. So habitat loss forms the major threat to biodiversity. So these type of questions will be asked. Of all these, major threat is habitat loss. That is also over exploitation of stellar cow of Russia, pigeons, which is called that is the stellar cow of Russia. That is also over exploited because of meat and all. So that is extincted because at the verge of its extinction because of over exploitation. And then the alien species. When a Nile perch introduced, about 2,000 species of sea-child fishes became extinct. So when the foreign Nile perch of Lake Victoria, and then next Pinus garipinus, a kind of catfish, Pinus garipinus, when introduced, many indigenous fishes, they become extinct. Co-extinction means one cannot live without another one. For example, pollinating insects or moths, pollinating insects, and the plants. So as I told you earlier, some of these plants depend upon moths and insects for their pollination, and moths and insects also depends upon these plants because as the plants provide some rivers or OV position, and one cannot complete its life cycle without another one. That is called co-extinction. That is how the habitat loss, fragmentation, overexploitation, alien species invasion, and the co-extinction are the four factors which threaten the biodiversity. Next two aspects are the narrower utility and broad utility. Broad utility, that is the many things we can obtain from the forest. Forests are the most fascinating features on the earth. They are the laboratories for a scientist, and many things can be obtained from the forest are the fuel, fodder, food, fiber, fuel, fodder, food, fiber. So these are the four things: oils, rubber, medicines, species. All these things, they contribute for about 25% of the forest produce. That is narrow utilitarian. That is broad utilitarian. 20% of oxygen is comes from only Amazon forest. This is very, very, very important. Finally, the conservation of biodiversity, which is very, very important. Protection and preservation of the plant, animal species, and the wise management of the same called conservation. Protection, preservation, and wise management of the same called conservation. So there are two types of conservation: in situ conservation and ex situ conservation. In situ conservation means the organisms are conserved in their own habitat. That is in situ conservation, and there is ex situ conservation. There are in the world 34 hot spots, and Indo-Burma and the Himalayas are the two hot spots where the richness of species can be seen in India. And in situ conservation, different types. That is the wildlife sanctuaries, bioreserves, wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, sacred groves. So only four things given in the book. That's very, very important. There are about 90 national parks in India and 14 bioreserves, and about 468 wildlife sanctuaries. That is very, very, very important. And sacred groves, very important. Sacred groves, Jantia and Kasi of Meghalaya, Aravali of Rajasthan, and Western Ghats of the Maharashtra, Karnataka, where rich in sacred groves, and then Madhya Pradesh, coming to the Madhya Pradesh, Chand, Bastar, and then Sarajevo of Madhya Pradesh, where the sacred groves are conserved. And one more important thing is, it is the Meghalaya which provides refuges, that is provides a shelter for the many threatened plant species, many threatened sacred groves. So far not as this is very, very important. And in the world, many countries resolve to protect. And then ex situ conservation means here the protection, preservation, and wise management of the wildlife, that is outside their habitat. For example, zoological garden, zoo, museums, and then gene bank, cryopreservation, dead animals preserved, gene bank. So these are all the various types of the ex situ conservation. So these both in situ and ex situ conservation with examples, very, very important. And many countries resolve to protect the biodiversity, or else it leads to ecological imbalance. In 1992 at Rio, one the summit, Rio de Janeiro summit to protect the biodiversity. And in 2002, Johannesburg of South Africa, there about 190 countries resolved to protect the biodiversity. This is about the 15th chapter, biodiversity and conservation, in detail given with numbers and all those things. Very important for the NEET examination. Wherever the questions will be asked, I repeated all those things. Please look into this, and all the best. Don't forget to subscribe and study. Okay, thank you.